All right, you guys, so for the hand pie dough, I have flour, salt, what else? Flour, salt, grated butter. So remember the large holes of the cheese grater. So it'll end up looking like this, you know, grates of butter. And then I added cream cheese in this. Cream cheese is just another dimension of flavor, adds a little bit more fat. So you want to break the cream cheese into pieces about this big, small, and then put them in there. So then you're going to rub it with your hands. So you're going to kind of pull it up, break up any of those larger chunks of cream cheese and kind of just smash them out with your fingers. So you're going to pull them up with your hands and then use your thumbs to kind of smash out the larger pieces. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And then you're going to add, so you have your water and your eggs. You're going to add that. Make sure you whisk it up with a fork so that gets incorporated. I'm going to add almost all of it. And I'm going to mix. So I don't want to add too much because if I add too much liquid, then I'm going to have to use more flour when rolling it out, and then it's going to make them tougher. So remember, when doing this, you want to mix it as little as possible. So it's still pretty crumbly. I'm going to get what's on my hands off of here because the wetter stuff's going to stick to your hands. So you're just kind of pushing in. I wish I had a clear bowl for you, but you're just kind of pushing in with your hands. I'm going to add the rest of my liquid. I might actually need a little bit more, so I'm going to get a little bit more. And you want to use cold water so it doesn't melt your butter. And you just want to mix it as little as possible. So the egg in there is going to provide structure. I'm going to fill these little hand pies with, I have some ganache made, and I have some berry pie filling made. And both of those recipes I'll put in the comments of this video. And then I'm going to roll this out between parchment paper. I think rolling it out in between parchment paper and chilling it is the easiest way to do it. Makes less work later rolling out and less mess. End up adding the rest of my water, plus maybe a teensy bit more. Okay, so this feels good. It feels like it's starting to come together and it's less crumbly. So now I'm just gonna knead it. So I'm gonna pick it up, push it into itself until it all feels like it's come together. I'm gonna stop when I feel like it's all kind of together in a ball. Otherwise, I'm gonna overmix it. So remember, at points, pull off what's on your hands. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with like gloves of dough. And I'm just gonna push it into itself. And you want to get all the crumblies from the bottom of the bowl to mix in there. I did a recipe and a half because it's almost Valentine's Day and everybody's going to want these little babies. Plus I made a ton of filling just to show you guys. You guys can have the option. You can do a berry filling. You can do a chocolate filling. You can do, I'm trying to think of something else you could do. You could probably do like a pastry cream filling if you wanted to. I'm not sure how that would work as far as in the oven though. So I would stick to like pie fillings. Okay. You could do an apple filling. That's in the module for at the beginning of the term. Okay. So this has come together. You can see, hopefully in that there's still streaks of butter, there's still streaks of cream cheese, but my bowl is pretty clean. My hands, on the other hand, are not very clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this in half, and I'm going to roll it between parchment paper. I'm going to wash my hands and then come back and show you how to do that. Check it out. So this is half of my dough. Remember, I 1.5 times the recipe, so you'll have just a little bit more than this. So if you take a long piece or a piece of parchment paper, just half sheet of parchment paper, and put it in the middle. I like to kind of press it out before I start rolling. Just kind of start it off by pressing it to make it easier to roll. And then you're going to put another piece of parchment paper on top of that. And then you're going to roll it out. I want you guys to roll it out to 1/4 inch. It's kind of a pain to roll out now, but it's even more of a pain to roll out later because it gets cold and it's harder to roll out. The butter gets solid and it's harder to roll out. So try to roll it as thin as you can in here, and then it'll just make it easier later. You can just cut out your shapes, whether it be circles or hearts or whatever it is. That just makes it easier. Sometimes I'll come back in and kind of press it out, but try to get it in this space and a little bit thinner than that. So about 1/4 inch. This is closer to 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go pretty thin and try to fit this whole thing. Okay, see you in a minute. All right, you guys, hand pies. So you saw the demo on the dough. So this is the dough all rolled out. You want it to be about 1/4 inch thick. So knuckle 1 inch, half, and then half. So not very thick. If it's too thick, it's going to be hard to bake the crust all the way through. So I have little heart cutters. You can use like round cutters if you have them. Like I said in the video, if you have like big, larger mason jar lids, you can use those, or you can just cut with a knife. If you're going to cut with a knife, be really careful of the surface that you're cutting on. I don't want to get emails from parents mad that I let you guys ruin their countertops. So remember, when you're cutting out, to go to the edges, because you want to get as much as you can out of this cut. So I added cream cheese into this just to add another dimension of flavor to it, like a sour. If you didn't have cream cheese or didn't want to add cream cheese, you could totally skip it and just add butter in its place. And that's what I did to the recipe. I just took out the butter and took out some butter and added cream cheese. For the filling, I made a berry pie filling. I used marionberries. You can do whatever you want. You could do the apple pie filling we did for pies. You could do berry pie filling. I also made some ganache here that I'm going to use. So ganache, I just did 5 ounces of heavy cream, brought it to a boil, and then added in 5 ounces of chocolate and 1 ounce of butter and let it sit for like 30 seconds. And then I whisked it up until it was smooth and pretty. And then I refrigerated it so it's hard. And the dough you want to work with when it's cold. So see, my dough is not freezing cold. And so when I'm pulling it off, it's having a bit of a time coming off, and I don't want to ruin my shapes. I'm going to do a couple here, and then I'm going to freeze these. And I'm going to kind of pull them out just a little bit. See how many I can get out of here. I'll do 2. Try to do 2 of each. And then I'm going to top them. You can top them with whatever you want. I have some sanding sugar that I just randomly had here, which is really nice, that I'm going to top the berry ones with. And then the chocolate ones, I have little heart sprinkles I thought would be fun. You guys can do whatever you want in terms of topping them. I would just make sure that if you do 2 different fillings like I'm doing, that you have something differentiating on there that tells you what's what. So I'm going to put this extra dough in the freezer so it chills, so I can get that more cuts out of it, or pull them off easier. Okay, so this is what's up. So I'm going to have 1 1/2 of each, I guess. or one or two. Okay, so I have my ganache here. So the ganache, so either filling you don't want to put too much in, but you want to have enough. If you have too much filling in, it makes them a little hard to close. And then if you don't have enough, then it's just all dough. So I'm just gonna scoop out some ganache. You can do this very easily with like a tablespoon or something. A spoon. So I'm gonna put a little scoop of ganache in the center of that. And I noticed this morning that my berry filling isn't quite as thick as I want it to be, so I'm really nervous / curious to see what happens there. Okay, so with these, I'm going to, the tops, I'm gonna do egg wash. So egg wash is just a beaten egg. I added, so 1 egg and like a tablespoon of water, just to make it a little bit thinner and easier to wash them with. So then you're gonna take this, and you can kind of stretch it out just a little bit. You don't want it to lose its shape, but you want it to go over that ganache. So I'm gonna line it up on the top here, and then I'm gonna press it all the way around that ganache. Oh, these are so cute. Miss Matano's gonna be so happy. So press it around that ganache so there's no air pockets, and then you can kind of fix, if you stretch it too much and the shape's kind of weird, just kind of fix it like that. And then you're gonna take a fork, and you're gonna fork it around the outsides just to seal those 2 seams. Just like that. That bottom isn't very happy. Okay, and then you're gonna egg wash the top lightly, and then put something on the top, like I said, to tell the difference. If you have, especially if you have 2 different, you can just put regular sugar on the top if you just have 1 filling that you did. I just want to be able to tell what's what. I was going to put the wrong one on there. I'm going to do sprinkles, heart sprinkles on the chocolate ones. Okay, and then so I'll do it one more time. So kind of stretch it, especially if it's a little bit on the thick side, which mine is. Stretch it a little. It's just going to make it easier. So I line it up, the 2 top pieces of the heart, and then line it up on the sides, kind of pressing around. So if there's, just in case there's any air pockets there, you grab those out. So remember, you don't want to work too much with the pie dough. If you work too much with it, then it's going to get tough. You want to see those chunks of butter and those chunks of cream cheese in there. I'm also, just for good measure, once I'm done with this, I'm gonna put them in the freezer to chill up. That's gonna chill up the butter and help them bake better. So I'll put them in the freezer for like 10 minutes, or you can put them in the refrigerator for half an hour or so, just to let that butter chill out. Okay, so that's the chocolate one. Do less of these sprinkles this time. Okay, so for the berry one, this is the one I'm a little nervous about, because my berry filling isn't as thick as it normally is. Okay, so I did the egg wash, and then I'm going to take a scoop of berries. Remember I said you don't want it to be crazy full. Put some of that. Okay, so there's that. Then I'm going to take the top. On this one, I go around the bottom there. Yeah, it's seeping out just a little bit, but that'll be okay. So just make sure you press so it goes together, and then you're gonna fork them. So on this one, I will egg wash as well, and I'm just gonna put the sanding sugar on the top. I like sanding sugar because it gives it kind of a nice crunchy texture. So then I'm gonna bake these at 375 until they're golden brown, and then I will put a picture up of what they look like. Adorbs. All right, thank you.